Hey everyone, welcome to Food Stories, episode 3. And today we have returning Chef Murray. She'll be doing a Kashmiri Naan, which is from the region of Kashmir, north of India, borders Pakistan, and then China to the east, Pakistan to the west, and Kazakhstan further north. Anyway, before we jump into Chef's kitchen, let me introduce Richard, my good buddy, the map man from South Africa. Hey, Rich.
Hi there, Larry.
Okay. By the way, Richard is going to take us on a little tour so we can see exactly where Kashmir is, for those of us who don't know. So this show, you learn not only cooking from Chef Murray, but also geography from Richard. So without much further ado, let's jump into the map so we could give people a frame of reference. Right. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just talk them through it, Larry.
Yeah. Chef, you want to...
Kashmir is in the north part of India, which borders Pakistan, which they fought many a war over. This particular state and region, after independence, a number of wars have been fought over this region. So what's really unique about the breads of this region is that you get yeast and leavening agents in the breads. In, traditionally most Indian breads, especially like Southern Indian breads, or flatbread, and they really didn't have yeast. But because of Kashmir and the North's proximity to Russia, that's how pretty much yeast was introduced to India. And, most anyone who's ever been to an Indian restaurant has probably had naan bread. The difference also is that you get more breads in the northern region made with all-purpose flour. That's also unique to this region. Most other use wheat flour, what they call atta, which is Indian wheat flour, which is different from American whole wheat flour. It has a lower protein content, so it's not as soft and fluffy, I guess, as our wheat flour. And even if they add yeast, it takes much longer usually for their breads to rise because of the lower protein content. Not only in India, but in Eastern Europe, in Africa as well. They have protein content wheat flours, so many of them add something called vital wheat gluten when they want to make yeast-based breads. So that's part of the reason why yeast-based breads aren't as common as flatbreads are.
Okay, thanks for that lesson, Chef. So now that we're in the kitchen, now that you've give us a little history there, just take us right into the recipe.
Okay, so naan bread is usually, if you go to traditional naan bread, it's a yeast-based bread. It could be baked either in an oven or on a skillet. This Kashmir naan is very unique to the region. First of all, it's a stuffing, and if you could see, the stuffing is a mixture of dried fruits. One of the things I use is glacé cherries. Again, like candy cherries, they're chopped. Yeah. Again, that's something that you can clearly see the Russian influence on. So the stuffing is a mixture of glacé cherries, golden raisins, almonds, cumin, kasuri methi, which in English is dried fenugreek. So it's a little smoky, a little savory, and a little sweet all at the same time.
That sounds lovely.
Great filling. So here I have some all-purpose flour, which I have a little baking powder and a pinch of salt and some sugar. So again, this is different than traditional naan, as it's going to be a quick bread. You don't have to wait for it to rise because it has baking powder as opposed to yeast. So those are the dry ingredients. So the wet ingredients now are plain yogurt, some milk,
and
ghee. ghee, which is clay. This is what makes
right.
naan bread so soft, is the use of yogurt. Yogurt always gives the bread a softening. So these are your wet ingredients. So I'm just whisking it all together. Are you seeing me? I want to make sure you're seeing everything clearly.
We're seeing everything perfectly. For those of you who are joining us late, the recipe would be in the description of this video once it's uploaded to YouTube. All right.
So then I'm going ahead and I'm adding the wet ingredients to the dry. Now in here I have about 2 cups of flour. It's really going to take more, but I always like to start with a little less flour. You could always add more flour. Once it gets the opposite way, I don't like adjusting more liquid. It just becomes, especially when it's a mixture like this, like yogurt and milk. If it was plain water, I wouldn't care.
Right.
But yeah, one of those things, bread, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. You just do. So I start off with a spoon, but at this point, and also you need the heat of your hands to knead, because what happens is a lot of people don't realize, and they'll keep on adding more and more liquid. And sometimes you don't need that much liquid if you just use your hands. A spoon, bread is one of those things, even though I use an electric, at some point, I always need to get into it with my hands.
Well,
so this is still a little soft, so I'm going to add more flour as needed.
Yeah, when I do my
Go on,
roti,
you were saying something?
Yeah, when I do my roti, I use my hands, you know.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, my father, he hated putting his hands into the mix, and this man was a baker, right? So
a baker.
So he had all the KitchenAid stuff, and the big expensive mixers.
Yeah,
that was his thing. He just didn't like to put his hand in the mix.
And another thing is, spend some time kneading it. Like at this point, you see how there are some crumbs. People will be like, oh, maybe I need to add some more liquid to bind it. No, you don't. Yeah. You just keep on kneading it, and that helps the gluten develop and all of those things, and it just starts coming together. People are too quick and impatient sometimes, and they just add too much liquid too quickly.
So really, you should be kneading it for what between 5 and 10 minutes? A good knead? Yeah.
Yeah, a good 5 minutes is good. And then, even though it's an instant bread, meaning baking powder, even breads that have absolutely no leavening whatsoever, chemical or yeast, I always let it rest. You need to let your dough rest, just not a long time, 10 minutes is good, because even without leavening, all flour has some amount of gluten, and it needs time. It needs time to rest, for that gluten to act, for the proteins to relax, because if the proteins aren't relaxed, it's much harder to roll out your bread. Okay, so this is your dough that you would then now cover with a damp cloth and leave it, like I said, 15 minutes is usually sufficient. And then you would start through the magic of, I have some that's already rested. Okay, so this quantity of dough should give you about 8. So you divide it in 8 pieces. And then as you have each piece, you roll it in between your hands so you get a nice smooth ball. If not, you're going to have cracks in it. So then, oh wait, let me turn on my skillet for when we're ready to cook it. Okay. I've got all my little stuff stashed down here. So rolling, okay. So now on a rolling, you lightly flour a board or whatever.
Yes, sir.
You take your nice smooth ball. Normally you would rush your hands in between, but it's okay.
that looks very soft there. That ball, it looks.
It's
nice
a very soft dough. Yeah, it is. Let's just put this over here. So then I'm gonna go ahead and just roll it out a little bit, so you've got some kind of surface. If it starts to stick, just put thing. And then basically what you're gonna do is you take a little bit of the filling. maybe about a teaspoon or so. Make sure you get a good mix of everything, a little almond, a little cherry, a little raisin. Then you bring up all the sides and you bring it all together, almost like a little dumpling. Okay, make sure it's really tight and secure. You don't want it to open up. So make sure it's really tight and secure. And then now we're going to roll it out again. Be gentle, because if you just start like it's just a plain old flatbread and it's not stuffed, it may have a tendency to crack on you. And like any flatbread, or if any of your listeners have never rolled a flatbread, you need to constantly be rotating it as you roll it out to maintain its round shape. Otherwise, you're going to get more of an oval than an actual round. And you're just rolling it pretty much. You want to try to roll it out as thin as you can without it breaking. So you have, that's pretty good. Pretty much about 4 to 5 inches in diameter. That's what you're aiming for. Okay, so here, traditionally, you would cook it on a skillet, or if you're in India, they call it a tawa. We sometimes also call it a tawa.
I actually have 2 tawas at the bottom of my stove.
Okay, so here, I'm just rubbing a little ghee, clarified butter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I put it on, and then you're going to see like little air pockets start to form. When you see the little air pockets start to form, then you know that it's time to flip it over.
Chef, that bucket with the flour, could you just move it? Yeah, so folks can see what's going on. All right, thanks.
I can actually move this a little bit more over.
All right.
So
lovely.
In a few minutes, air thing, and it's great to have with any chutney, any kind of chutney you like. What's great is that because it's, they're famous, Kashmir, Rajasthan, those areas, of combining sweet and savory in not dessert, but just regular food, so don't have to just save it. You don't have to think of it as like, because it's got the fruit in it, as like a dessert.
Right. Yeah.
Anything like that. They would have it with curry, with whatever, but you could also just have it as a snack with chutney or for breakfast, etc. Okay, as you can, I don't know if you can see, but I'm trying to get this stuff out your way. There are little air pockets now, little air bubbles starting to form. So I can see, yeah, and so now if I flip it over, see it's already brown. As soon as you see those little air pockets, and through.
Yeah, you don't put the ghee on both sides?
No, not necessarily. This is a pretty soft dough, so it really doesn't need it as much. And through the magic of TV, voila! So these are some that I made earlier, and so you see.
Yeah, that looks nice.
And they're nice, and you see all your fruit and your nut.
Yeah.
And yeah, so these are your cooked Kashmiri Naan.
Wow. It looked delicious. I mean, wow, making me hungry right now.
And that's pretty much it. So you just continue to roll them out and stuff them.
Well done. I like
your Kashmiri Naan.
I love it.
That's cool.
Yeah. I wish you were like next door.
You're gonna be like, hey, I'm coming over from my naan.
Because I would
bring some South African chutney.
Yeah, absolutely. And the chutney that comes from the Kashmir is the chutney that we're pretty much accustomed to in the West, meaning that kind of fruit-based chutney that's usually a mixture of vinegar, sugar, and spices, like your traditional mango chutney. Actually, I have one in my fridge. I should have brought it up. I have a date.
I have some mango
there's
chutney
a date
right here.
apple. Oh, there's a date apple chutney, which I made when I was doing this Kashmir kind of theme on my blog. And so there's a recipe for the date apple chutney on my blog if you guys want to check it out. Definitely. As well.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. When it gets nice and golden, it's done.
All right. For those of you who want Chef's recipe, Chef Mireille's recipe, it will be in the description. A link to her website or a link right directly to that particular recipe, and of course to her website. And it's very easy. I mean that
as you can see, it's not rocket science.
No, it's very simple. I like the fact though that you have yogurt in the mix, because what I might do, I might add some yogurt to when I make my roti to get it moist.
Yeah, you know which roti, which like Trini style roti is a good one that I find very similar to kind of like the naan is the sada roti.
Sada roti, right? Yes. What they normally have for breakfast.
Yeah. So sada roti is a good one where you can add yogurt to, because it's already. Yeah, a nice soft, really, sada roti is a very soft dough roti. Yeah. So that would be a good one where you could try adding the yogurt, and you'll see it definitely. There's also a Turkish flatbread that I have on my blog. It's called bazlama, that also uses the yogurt, and it's also a great bread to have for breakfast.
Oh, fantastic! Well, Chef, again, you've done us proud.
Okay, and a lot of people are scared of flatbreads. It's really not as hard as people think it is. It's really, it takes some practice to get them evenly shaped and actually look like a circle. Like when I first started making flatbreads, oh God, I used to get triangles, hexagons, who knows, all kind of crazy shapes. But it just takes a little bit of practice, just constantly rotating, and then you could make, making round rotis is really not that difficult.
All right, well, fantastic. Well, that brings this episode to a close. We want to have you back on again, Chef, and
absolutely. I'm planning on sharing all the cuisines of the world with you guys.
Oh, well, fantastic. Yeah, I love it. So I will let you know when.
Okay.
Maybe in a couple of weeks or whenever you're scheduled.
Oh my gosh, I'm having 12 people over for Thanksgiving. So, my gosh.
No. It'll be after Thanksgiving. No. Thanksgiving is
after.
Crazy. Yeah.
I'm gonna need a whole week to recuperate after that.
No problem. It'll probably be in how about
December?
The first Saturday in December.
That sounds cool.
Right? And
yep, that sounds great.
Yeah, and I might have a special announcement then. So I will let you know what we would like to cook. Hint.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So
okay. Right. I don't get that hint, but I'm sure you'll tell me offline.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say for now. But I'll fill you in. I'll fill you in.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks again, brother.
Cheers.
The map was on. Chef Mireille?
Yep.
Again, fantastic. So I will talk
to
you. I'll talk to you soon, and we will see you on the first Saturday in December. All right?
Sounds great.
Okay. So
see you then.
Great. So with that, folks, see you on the next one. Larry Fournillier signing out. Bye.